it's Elle and welcome back to my channel and happy Foundation Friday. Today I want to talk to you all about kind of fall foundations, how to pick them, what's the best finish, all of the goodies. So before we get started, hit the subscribe button, share this video with somebody you think might like it, and let's do it. All right, so the reason why this topic comes up is because as we change seasons, usually our foundation needs to change. Either the color, of course, or the texture, or the finish to the powders. And I do get a lot of questions all about foundations, so I thought I'd break them down in one video. All right, let's start with step one. When we're considering a new type of foundation or a foundation for a certain season like fall and winter, we need to consider what our skin is originally. So this can also just be generalizations because I know a lot of oily people that love a good luminous foundation because they like to look extra glowy. And I know a lot of dry people love a good matte foundation because they're able to manipulate it and make it a little bit more glowy, yet not so luminous. All right, so I want to make this as a general statement because it's going to be a great place to start. So for me, I am more normal to dry. I'm going to choose one that has a natural finish or a luminous or dewy or hydrating finish. If I am normal, you honestly can pick whatever you want. You can pick, you can pick dewy and luminous. You can pick a natural skin finish. You can pick matte. Really, honestly, because your skin is just typically normal and can be manipulated to whatever you want it to do. Now, if you are combination to oily, usually those people pick a natural finish or a more semi-matte or matte finish. So those are great rules and great tools to start out with when you're looking for a new foundation for fall. Now, as for most of us, we are going into more of a drier season. So less humidity, much drier climates. For a lot of us, it'll be cooler weather, snow, things like that. So for the majority of people, you are going to want to obviously work on a hydrating skin routine, no matter if you're oily or dry, okay, because we're going to that season. But also too, you might want to check into more of a natural skin finish. And that usually is going to be great across the board, no matter what your skin type is. All right, so for tip number two, if you are going in and matching yourself at, a store or Nordstrom or wherever you're gonna go, for the most part we are because we can't really touch things right now, but if you can match yourself or somebody can match you, I highly, highly, highly recommend. This is gonna make some people like crazy. I need you guys to match here. Okay, so I worked in retail for quite a few years, and of course, as you know, I was a professional makeup artist for over 15 years. All right, so if you match your foundation here, or the typical thing where they do a line like this, it's not gonna match. It's going to literally just match either your neck, which for most people is a lot lighter than our chest, and it's not gonna match our face. So when we have them put a swipe right here on our chest, it is going to look a tad bit lighter because it's going to make everything blend together. So trust me on this. Trust me. Get someone to match here, get a sample of the foundation, take it home, apply it like you normally would, and you will get your perfect color. And of course that will change if you're going into obviously fall and winter, or you're going into spring and summer. So that's when people say, this is my summer color, or that's my winter color. That's what they mean. Basically, you want to make this match this, all right? So you don't want this to be darker. So please take that rule of thumb and say, I want you to match it right here along my collarbone. You can even have it, matched right here. But that is typically a great rule of thumb. All right, so for number three, I want to talk about finishes of foundation. I don't know if I've ever really seen somebody do a great kind of overall comparison between more of a tinted moisturizer or a skin tint, and then what a more normal skin finish or medium, medium coverage foundation looks like, and more of a matte full coverage foundation. Now, of course, all coverages of foundation, skin tint, tinted moisturizer, medium, and full coverage come in an array of finishes. But I just kind of want to give you an overview so you can make the best decision possible for your skin going into fall and winter. So as we stand right now, some of my favorite foundations for in the skin tint range or the kind of tinted moisturizer, and this is just a sampling, okay, is going to be Merit, and this is a stick foundation. And and the Urban Decay, this one is their Stay Naked Hydromatic Tinted Glow Hydrator. Now, of course, all of these foundations, every single one we talk about, can be built up to the next level. So, for example, for most speaking, these can be built up to a light medium coverage. Medium can be built up to a light heavy coverage. And obviously full coverage is just full coverage, but you can pretty much get a real nice deep full coverage if you keep layering that together. All right. So when we talk about this, we're going to go into our Urban Decay, and for tinted moisturizers or skin tints, I either like to use my hands or I like to use a beauty blender, and that's actually what I'm going to do, is I'm going to be applying this on with a beauty blender. Now the reason why is because it's going to give me a little extra hydration, and it's going to shear this out just a touch, but again, your hands work perfectly fine. There's no reason for you to, you know, have another tool when you're using any of these foundations, really. Okay, isn't that a beautiful foundation? I mean, it's just like the perfect. Some people don't want a full coverage, you know, all the time. But again, I don't think that people really break down the finishes of these so that we can tell what it truly means to have a tinted moisturizer or a skin tint. Okay, and skin tints on a traditional factor usually have way less coverage, especially like the Rihanna's, the Drop, the brand new foundation she has very little coverage. Tinted moisturizers will have tendency to have a little bit more coverage. So that is what this looks like on one side, and then I am going to apply Merit on the other side, and I love this because you just get to basically draw all over your face. Now, you can again apply a lot of that or a little bit of it. I'm going to apply it with I'm going to blend it out with a brush so you guys can see the different techniques. And while I'm blending this out, when you're using your fingers, you're typically going to get a heavier coverage. When you are using a brush, it's typically going to be more of just like a pretty standard coverage of that foundation. And when you're using a sponge that is slightly damp, you're going to have a little bit of a more diluted coverage, but less than your hands. And that's relatively speaking. Now I'm just kind of pushing this in because for me, brushes have tendency to leave strokes. All right. Aren't those beautiful foundations? Yes. Okay, so you can see the difference. This is still a light coverage foundation, and this is a skin, like a tinted moisturizer or a skin tint. I want you guys to be able to see the difference and see if whatever is going to be more apt for you and your skin type. Now, these are both, this says luminous. It's not that dewy. It's beautiful though. But this is just more of a natural skin finish. Again, how you prep your skin is going to play a lot into what foundations you use and what works for you. Of course, you've seen many of my videos about how I prep my skin, which is a hydrating skincare routine, but no matter what, you have to start with a moisturizer. Please do not go into your makeup without a moisturizer on. So if you're using nothing else, a moisturizer and obviously SPF is essential to allow any foundation to do what it's supposed to do and act the way it's supposed to act. So here we go. Skin tint, tinted moisturizer, light coverage foundation. All right, I took both of those off. And just so you know, powder foundation, so you know a compact that has like a pressed powder foundation in it, or a foundation like Bare Minerals, still all rules apply. Obviously more of a pressed powder foundation honestly is more for your combination to oilier skin types, but your Bare Minerals type foundations have different finishes as well. Obviously the original is more for normal to dry skin, and they have a matte one that is for more normal combination and oily skin. All right, so I did reapply some moisturizer just because we want, again, to have that prepped right. All right, so now we're gonna go into a medium coverage foundation. My two go-to favorites at currently, again, this does not negate any other ones I've talked about before, is the Anastasia Luminous Foundation and the LYS Foundation. I'm gonna use the LYS Foundation because I've used the Anastasia one quite a bit. But the reason why is because I wanna show you the difference in coverage on a more medium foundation. And this one is a skin this is a skin finish, so it's going to look like healthy skin. Healthy skin has a natural glow to it. I think a lot of people think a healthy skin has like a matte finish to it. No, healthy skin is like a very subtle glow to it. And if I have Foundation Fridays and all of this, you guys, so you can look at that playlist, but I am L96. All right, and so with this foundation, I do use a beauty blender. I always have, or you can use your hands. It's totally up to you. And this foundation is beautiful. It is very, very buildable. So you, of course, can wear it a lot more sheer than I will if you don't want to build it up to medium, but I think it helps people understand kind of what they're talking about when they're marketing these foundations. Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful foundation? So look at, you can still see my imperfections through this foundation, but they are a lot more covered than they would be with the skin tint or just a light coverage foundation. But yet the skin has an overall more covered look, okay? Such a beautiful foundation, so lightweight, so quick. And of course, if you want more coverage too, you can apply with your hands, and if you can apply with a brush, you know, all of the things above. Now, my full coverage foundations, which I don't wear a ton, I gravitate towards medium coverage foundations that have a skin finish. That's better on my skin. But the Jouer Essential Coverage, High Coverage Cream Foundation, and the Born to Glow by NYX or NYX is bomb, okay? They both are gorgeous. I have a tendency to really enjoy this foundation because it has a little bit more glow to it, but I really want to show you kind of this full coverage deal. So again, this is medium, and I want to show you the imperfections that are all right here. The light's kind of blowing it out a little bit, but we're going to do that. Okay, and I am going to apply it with a brush because I do not want to dilute this, and I'm going to be using it in patting motions and circular motions, and then I will go in at the end. Do you see how little you need of that full coverage? I will go in at the end and you know, tap it out with a sponge. This is a more of a liquidy foundation, not so creamy, and it has more of a matte finish to it. But it is definitely a high coverage foundation. Another great one is the Too Faced Born This Way Matte Foundation. That's a beautiful full coverage matte foundation. I love that one. I wear that too. All right. This one goes on so quick. I feel like my eyes are uneven now. There we go. So obviously they're just a little bit different colored because that's just how things roll. They do not feel any heavier, but you can definitely tell all of my imperfections are completely covered. There is nothing left to the imagination, and it should not look like a mask. And if it does, you want to go in, this has nothing on it on that side, and just bounce a beauty blender all over, and it will take just a touch of the coverage away, but not a lot, but it will also press this into the skin. So even with the same hydrating skincare routine on, you can see this is what the medium natural finish looks like, and this is what the full coverage foundation looks like. And again, this has a more of a matte finish, but it is a skin finish, it says, but it does veer more matte. So I just kind of want to sit here and let you kind of see what I'm talking about. So you can also see why I have a tendency to like this. And then if it really bothered me, I would go in with a little bit of concealer or something like that to cover up my imperfections on that side. But this is kind of what they all look like. And then once you put concealer and powder and all that good stuff on, you will absolutely have this flawless finish. All right, so I hope that this helps. I hope that this helps you pick your right foundation for fall. I hope it gives you some information on what type of finishes people mean when they're talking about certain things. I hope this is kind of just a go-to guide to find your perfect foundation. Yes, we are going into fall and winter, but this also could be applied for summer and spring as well. All right, comment below. I would love to hear your favorite foundations, your skin type with it, and I'll see you on the next one. Lots of love from me to you. Bye, loves.